So today I'm going to do a video on debunking myths about studying law. I thought this would be quite a good video to film, especially with it being the new semester soon. I'm sure there's a lot of people who are going to be starting law degrees. It can be very scary, especially when it's going to all be online. It's quite uncertain. So here's 10 myths I'm going to debunk for you. So the first myth that was sent in to me is that it's a lot of reading. So there is quite a bit of reading, but I'd say it's definitely more quality over quantity. Like most of your course, about 80% of the course is the lectures. So as long as you stay on top of lectures, that's fine. The reading really is just to get that extra understanding or to get a higher mark. So a lot of the time it is easier to do the reading as you go so that you don't fall behind with it. But I wouldn't say it's a lot of reading because most degrees are. It just really depends. It's like what you put in is what you're going to get out of it. So the next myth that was sent in is that it's elitist and all about who you know. So I think law generally has a reputation that it is, but these days firms really try to move away from that. They do so many different insight schemes so that people from all backgrounds, all different experiences of different ages can all go around law firms, do these different insight days and then apply to them. So I'd say it really isn't anymore. Definitely helps, obviously, if you do have connections in law to go and shadow, but it isn't necessary. So another myth that was sent in to me is that you can only study law at Russell Group unis. This is absolutely not true. It is helpful because they do have a reputation of having higher standards, so it might give you a bit more of an advantage, but it definitely isn't necessary. I think it really is about the person. So it's like what I said before, you get out what you put in. So if you're going to really work hard and you get a 2-1 or a first, that's going to be great no matter which university you went to. So the next one is that grades are everything. I definitely don't think they're everything, but they are important. Getting good grades is the whole reason that you're at university, is to get a degree. But grades are really what get you in through the door when you go to a law firm or when you go to a company for a job, but they're not the reason they pick you. In a way, grades are a given. But the reason a company picks you is your experience, your skill set. So definitely do work hard because it's a lot of money, but I'd say really make sure that you focus on other areas too. Just like in the other video that I've done on transferable skills, try and find different areas that you can really home in on, whether it's through volunteering or through sport, so that you can really build up your job profile and kind of extend yourself further than just those grades. So another preconception is that the work is really hard. The work can definitely be pretty challenging, but all the resources are given to you by your university. You've got libraries full of books that can help you with it. I think for me personally, the courseworks weren't really as long as I expected them to be, especially from the beginning. They'd be maybe 1,500 words, as a pretty standard measure, which compared to what we were doing at A-level, I don't think really is very hard. I think it's definitely very manageable. And yeah, like I said before, it really is about quality over quantity. So don't just be sitting in the library all day, all night for the sake of it. You do get out what you put in. So as long as you work smart instead of working long hours, you're going to be fine. So number 6 is that there's a lot of memorizing involved. I think there definitely is at first. When I was in my first year, I felt pretty bombarded with a lot of cases, but it was doable with case cards. There's loads of different apps that can help you with learning. But I found more that as I went into second year, it was less about being able to remember the facts and the issue and what was found in the case, and it was more about knowing the different nuances. Instead of knowing the general outcome, you had to know what one judge said versus the other judge. So it was less about memorizing and it was just more about understanding. So I think, especially to get higher grades, it really is about understanding the cases. They don't really care if you maybe get some of the facts wrong. It really is more about understanding what the judges said and then being able to apply that. So I think this is probably my favourite myth that was sent in. So it's the idea that law isn't creative and it's all just old books. So this is quite a funny preconception, I think. I think law actually is pretty creative. It's all about, like I said, knowing the outcomes of different cases and knowing what one judge said versus the other. Judges are very, very creative in their approach to law. So there's so many cases where judges are really trying to bend the rules, or they're trying to interpret things differently so that they can try and get what would maybe be seen as the most just outcome of a case. So I'd say it really is pretty creative, especially in coursework. You can definitely take a creative approach as long as you understand what you're trying to say. You do need to put like a legal basis on things, but you can be really creative in your approach. So this next one is a lot harder to debunk, and that's the idea that law is very competitive. I can't lie, law is very competitive, but so are so many other industries, whether you want to go into marketing or accountancy, all very competitive industries. The best thing you can really do to put your best foot forward is get good grades, but then focus on other areas too. Look at extracurriculars, volunteering, because the good grades are what get you through the door, but your personality and what you can bring to the table is going to be really what makes you shine and what makes you stand out. So another classic myth about studying law is the idea that there's no work-life balance or no social life. This is not true at all. You can absolutely have a social life. It's all about being able to prioritize work, getting it done as soon as it's given to you, or being able to make lists to help you balance it. And that way you can definitely get involved with different societies or different sports clubs at your university, but really just try and make sure that you do find that right balance so that you can still enjoy being at university while studying. So the final myth is that studying law is expensive. This isn't true at all if you're in the UK. Studying law costs just as much as studying for any other degree as far as I'm aware. But if you're watching from maybe the US, this could be different. Studying law can be more expensive in terms of the textbooks. So I know that after studying English literature for a year, I didn't have to buy as many textbooks as I did studying law. But there's definitely ways around it in terms of your university is definitely going to have loads of resources you can use. There's so many free online resources. And you can also buy books secondhand from maybe second years or third years above you who are trying to get rid of their books, and that'll make it a lot cheaper for you as well. So for those of you who are starting law degrees in September, I wish you the best of luck, and I hope that this video maybe puts some of those worries at ease. Just remember that you're definitely not the first people to be worried about starting a law degree, and you really won't be the last.